house.
Good. All right, it is 6 o'clock and I will call the meeting to order. If everyone would stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alicia, would you do roll call, please?
Lacey Oster. Here. Cherie Link.
Here.
Michelle Lesha.
Here.
Bruce Belargin.
Here.
Lori Belargin.
Here.
Matt Kukalt.
Here.
Marge Below. Here.
Our district mission, together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
We'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, Marge. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bruce. Is there any discussion on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Open forum. I have one person who asked to make a public comment. So I'll make that call.
This is Corey.
Hello, Corey. This is the school board meeting. Would you like to state your name and address for the record, and then we'll start your public comment?
Great, yeah, Corey Miller, Star Prairie, Wisconsin. And just wanted to follow up and try and keep drawing attention to and hopefully get some discussion in the meeting tonight for the topics we've been emailing about. I'm sure you're working on it, but just to help draw some public awareness to it too. COVID's winding down and we're all excited, and, but just want to make sure that a lot of the lessons we've tried to learn along the way don't go unnoticed, and kind of do a thorough retrospective of it. And a lot of the hoping to see more of that type of stuff in the parent survey, found a lot of content on that subject. So just looking forward to hearing more about that in your conversations, and some agenda items and policy changes would be great in that area. So we'll look forward to hearing more, and we'll be following along in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. All right, number 3, educational delivery. Samantha's not here. You haven't heard anything from her?
Last I heard, they were coming.
Okay.
We've had a lot kind of going on at the high school the last 24 hours. The plans may have changed. But I'm happy to speak to Sam, and
We could move it later in the agenda in case she comes later. If that's
totally
all-
up to you. I'm not sure that, last I heard they were coming, so I'm not sure if they're just late or not coming at all. So happy to do either one.
And we received a statement
Yeah,
from.
Kelly, did she send that to you, Kelly and Jen?
Probably the
Something to write
same
up?
one, but
Yeah.
you can read it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we can wait till they come
Okay.
here. Let's just wait.
All right, so we will come back to this in hopes that Samantha and her parents will arrive. Reports then. Mark, listening session
Sure.
summary? Oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's not you, that's Bruce and I. No one came.
Well, I can give a report on that one too. Yeah, no one came.
Superintendent's report.
Yeah.
We listened to ourselves, so, and we were all bored, so. A few things here, you know, as Shannon mentioned, the last 24 hours of, you know, has been nothing but shocking for all of us. You know, losing Bruce like this, and I've said this to many people, you know, I've been in this for 42 years and I've never seen a person that's so loved and respected by a community anywhere before, and this definitely has taken a toll on our staff and a lot of students. One of the reasons for going with an alternative schedule today was to make sure our staff had the proper care and attention that they needed for when the kids come back tomorrow. And we had a number of kids in the building today that came in. We've had a lot of resources in the other buildings as far as counselors, a lot of offers of help from area high schools. And, you know, I think the calls we've been getting from not just regionally but around the state and emails from around the country. You know, Bruce was very, very, very well known, which leads me into this next piece here. I met with his kids just a couple hours ago as far as what arrangements are being made, and we had offered that because of the size of this, there's no place to hold it other than our facility. So what we're looking at is setting up the gym just like commencement and having a private family visitation from 3 to 4, a public from 4 to 7, and then a program at 7 o'clock and that. So we'll be working tomorrow on starting to set that all up for them, and a lot of other details that will go into this. But you know, if any of you are around on Friday, I'm sure we can use some hands. I don't want this all to fall back on teachers all the time, but so if you're around, we could use the help. I was talking to Shannon about setting up for a commencement. Who used to do that for us? Bruce, and his kids would set us up. So, I mean, it's just, he's being missed all over. There's just, it's just a sad piece. So I'll keep you posted on as we move through the week with that. Tomorrow, I think will be a tough day for the staff, but hopefully they've had time to get their feelings out. And the groups we had in, who was the group that we had that were doing the circle?
So they are out
That's our grief group that we.
Yeah, in Richmond Healthcare. Yeah, so we had 2 grief counselors come in and were there from the start of the day. At the end of the day, ran kind of a circle with our staff, gave lots of resources, tips, tools of how to first kind of deal with our own emotions and how we're processing this before we can obviously help kids. So that was really beneficial. If I can, just for a second, we had families dropping off food all day long at the high school today. We had 50 pizzas donated at lunch. We had people donating Subway sandwiches, drinks, chips. I mean, just people have been coming out of the woodwork trying to be supportive and helpful, which we are very, very grateful for as we're trying to figure out how to navigate this, obviously for the adults, but certainly for the kids that will come back in the building tomorrow. So I think today was a good day, as Mark said, to be able to allow staff time to kind of process and grieve and figure out what each individual staff member needs, and then we'll get ready for kids tomorrow. So.
And obviously, they've been here for 30, 35 years, and so our sympathy goes out to the family. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment or say anything at this point in time.
Well, just that they have all of our support and our deepest condolences. It's a devastating loss to the entire community.
Okay, next item I have here is, we're lined up for having 3 meetings in a row. And we're trying to figure out how did that happen, and Lori, we were talking that we believe that it was because having a meeting the Monday after spring break, we wouldn't get the agenda out because no one's here. So I've talked to Alicia, if we want to change to the 14th and 28th, we can, at least you'll be around to get the agenda out over spring break. If you want to keep it the way it is, 3 meetings in a row, you know, we can surely do that. But again, you know, we are the 2nd and 4th weekend, and I'm just gonna allow that out there, you know, for some conversation if you want to change it.
Yeah, there's another item on the agenda later that will play into that. So maybe we can discuss that at the same time.
Sure.
Okay.
School perception survey, I got in today to run off all the survey closes tomorrow. Run off all the current information, and I was gonna give you a preliminary report, but I have not had a chance to look at it today. It's just been that kind of day. And once I do go through it here, I'll probably just send you out a separate note, just to give you some interesting pieces of it. You know, I'd like to wait till School Perceptions does their presentation of it, because they really drill down in the data, and they have comparative data from other schools around the, you know, around the state. So, but I'll give you some snippets of what I find in there. So I got the actual responses and then also the comments too, and at the right time, we'll make that all available to all of you, if you want to.
So Mark, is school perception scheduled to do a presentation?
So it'll close tomorrow. It takes them a couple weeks to run all the data, and they were looking at the end of March to give the presentation. So depending on what we do with our, you know, the meetings, I don't think they'll be ready by the 14th, and that was kind of part of that. If we went to the 28th, they'd probably have it ready by then.
Okay.
Like that, so just something to think about there. District health, you know, we had one case last week. We're discontinuing any, our board on the scoop. We won't be running that anymore. We've contacted our testing site people. We wanted to go down to 2 days a week for the next week and then be out of the testing business by the 14th. So Ryan is going back and forth with the company, because this company contracts these people. You know, it doesn't cost us anything, but we would just like to, you know, move on from it right now. So we'll see when that happens. But that's the intent is, you know, from the beginning, when we didn't feel we needed it anymore, we'd move on from there. And again, I don't think they had more than a couple tests last week too, so it's really, you know, it's really come down, so.
So what is the contract? Was it a time frame or?
It was however long we need them.
Okay,
And-
so we can say we're done.
Right, and so we're kind of working with them, because they have contracts with these people, and they're just, I mean, they're reading books. You know, I mean, they're not hurting anything. So, but we just don't have anybody going back now. You know, there's days when they have nobody, so it's time to move on. Administrative staffing, that's just to publicly let you know, as we've talked, I'll be done retiring on June 30th to make it official, and it's on the consent agenda for that, and not an easy decision, but as I mentioned before, it's not the work and the people I work with, it's just the situation where I'm at in life right now that it's a busy time right now, so. I appreciate the 6 years I've had here. We've tackled a lot of issues. The last 2 years have been, out of 42 years, I've never had 2 years like the last 2 years. I don't think any of us have. And I don't know if we want to again, but again, that's the nature of the job. You know, just with what happened this weekend too. You know, it happens, we deal with it, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Last piece I have with the enrollment, just, you know, quick update. We're up from last year at this time, but we're down 6 students from last month, and, you know, that does fluctuate. And so nothing dramatic there.
Did anybody have any questions for Mark? And the other item under this category is the financial reports that were attached. Did anybody have any questions about the financial reports? All right, hearing none, then we can go on to advanced operations. The first item here is the district administrator hiring process. So I was able to connect with 3 firms who do superintendent, help school boards with the hiring process of a district administrator. I was happy that we heard back from all 3 of them. I spoke with Holly Butler, the human resources person at New Richmond, who is going through this process as well with their superintendent's position. They had contacted 5 firms and only heard back from 2. So I was very pleased that we got such a quick response, and they all 3 of them submitted proposals. Those were emailed out to you. WASB also printed their proposal and had it UPS'd to the district office, so that is in front of you. If you would like the HYA or School Exec Connect proposal printed out, I'm sure if you send Alicia an email, she could print that out for you as well, so you have hard copies of them. So I hope you were able to have a chance to go through those 3 proposals. All 3 of them are willing to come and present in person. So right now, the discussion is how you would like to move forward. Would you like to move forward based on the written proposals? Or would you like to hear from each of these 3 companies in person?
I would propose that we post it internally first and see if we have any internal candidates that are interested and able to take on the role. If we can save that money, that would be great.
All 3 companies have a process for internal candidates as well.
But if we could forego that cost and try that internal search first, wouldn't that make the most sense? Because it doesn't cost us anything to post the job within our district, does it?
No.
So I think we should try to save the money if we can. If we have an internal candidate that's qualified, that would be the best case scenario. It would save us a lot of money.
But then you don't know what else is out there, you know, or who else is out there.
But if you have an
If you
internal
have a
candidate
good mix, it would be
qualified.
better.
As a business owner, I always like to hire from within because you know what you're getting, you know what they're capable of. You know, if you've got somebody who's qualified, I think that would be, and if that doesn't work, then we can certainly pivot to this avenue, but I think we should attempt it.
But we don't have time, is the other thing,
To post for 1 week?
You're gonna find a candidate in 1 week to do this kind of a job.
I don't think there's very many people within the district that have the qualifications.
But it would be nice for us to have a good mix to know who we're talking to, or what, you know, what their backgrounds are, different things like that. It would be nice for us to know what they can do. You just don't go with one candidate.
What if there's 2 that apply?
And there's 2, but we might get 5 or 6 the other way. And combine them all. If they're gonna interview internal and external, I think that's a good mix.
Yeah, I would agree with Marge. I mean, I think that we're at an interesting point in our district. Talking this potential referendum, you've got all these houses going in. I think a search as well as an internal is the right way to go, in my opinion. But I would like also to see a presentation. It's one thing to read through these. I'd like to hear from somebody of what are they bringing to us, what are their suggestions.
When you talk to New Richmond, so they have the 2 firms, how successful are they being in their process right now? You know that?
Yes, I do, and I believe that was included in the HYA proposal. HYA is the firm that they went with, and I believe the HYA proposal indicated that they have 6 or 7 first interviews taking place. Do you remember, does any, I mean, I have it right here.
I think they have 5 or 6.
Yeah, what we said.
I think in the past too, even not superintendent positions, but principal positions, we've always more than encouraged internal candidates to apply, but also open it up to external. I mean, I know with the last elementary principal hiring, I represented a parent on that seat, and I think it was, nice. I think we obviously want to encourage internal candidates to apply because we may have some great internal candidates, but I think this position it's not to be sought out, I don't think, and to say it lightly. I mean, this is who's in charge of our entire district, and I think as a board, we owe it to be able to go through a process, and not even that process, but maybe beyond just the board. Like I know right now in the district that I'm at, we're doing a big superintendent search, and it includes survey out to parents. It includes parents representing that selection committee along with community members. So this is a big deal to have this position, and I would never discourage anybody or in my mind not want somebody internally, but I don't think that we can take this lightly either. I think we need to look at all options and hear people out, or even if it's not the money, for more of a company looking at other options too. And I'm with Matt to hear out these companies instead of just to read it, because I think this is new, and to hear what options we have to make sure that we can get the best candidate and the best people to serve our district.
Right. And we can have internal candidates in that mix
Yeah.
and go through the entire process of the screenings and the interviews without having to start over and delay the timeline. The HYA proposal says that they have interviewed 6 candidates in Richmond.
So this process is gonna take probably 4 months.
Well,
I
each
think
of
is
the,
what I was looking at
yeah,
roughly before
The-
we'd have a decision, so
the
March, April,
goal
May,
in their
June.
timelines,
That's, March is, I mean, we're July 1.
well, the goal in their timelines is to be making, having the final interviews and making a decision by the end of May. So they're, narrowing the time.
I mean, this is weighed heavily, because, I mean, I think I brought up, what do I know about hiring a superintendent? Also, been around, and Laura, you were here when we didn't hire an internal candidate who was probably the best choice, and ended up being the one we did hire for Mark.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we did affirm, got somebody, that person was only here a year and a half,
Year and a half.
and then we ended up with the internal candidate right after that. So, and I know we use a firm with Mark, so I mean, I'm, internally, open them internally. Again, what questions do I know what to ask? I mean, who do we get help from to ask those? Maybe it's a hybrid model where we say, hey, we do have a couple internal candidates. Do we get some help from one of these and just say, hey, what are some questions, or, I think WASB has hourly rates. Hey, what's some things that you can help us even sit in on these and interview the 2 or 3? I get opening up to bigger, I do, but I also, we have people.
Those are all great questions. If they're standing here, great questions to ask. That's our opportunity. I just look at this, even this HY, they've assisted 1,500 school boards. I'm with you. I don't know the first thing about hiring a superintendent, and I'm not gonna say I do, so,
Right.
I would like some guidance in who we pick.
And again, I guess, I don't know if they make the decision in the end, or if it's the board or the groups or
It's
whoever.
the board has the
But I
final
would-
decision.
Yeah, I guess I just wouldn't want to have a firm mark, I guess.
The national firms like HYA, they'll bring you a national pool, they'll do a national search. and they'll bring you a recommended slate of candidates, but then you make the final decision on who you want to interview. The whole decision comes down to you. And that's one of the three jobs you have, is hiring superintendent, setting the budget, and evaluating superintendent. Those are the three major responsibilities that you have. So whatever guidance you need along the way, take it and get it. Exec Connect, all these firms, I've known them over the years. Exec Connect will bring you the local pool, the Minnesota, Wisconsin pool. HYA and firms like that will, bring you a national pool. They just will. And their process is typical. They will send out information, questionnaires to community members. They'll have focus groups, and they'll probably interview with 3 or 4 different groups. They'll probably interview teacher groups, administrative team, the board, community groups. So again, there's a process where by the time you're done, you'll be hiring the best person. You just will. You just need the guidance for it.
And all 3 of these groups, HYA, School Exec, and WASB, they all had a very similar process where they engage the community. We have focus groups. All 3 of them do surveys. All 3 of them write up a report at the end to, after the survey is taken, to give the board the results. And all 3 of them offer the services of helping the board develop the kinds of questions and determine what exactly we're looking for in a district leader.
Did WASB give any indication what an average cost is? Because they have the hourly. Did I miss
They had
that?
10,000.
Oh, okay.
They had a max.
I'm an exec are pretty close to the same.
Okay.
And every firm has a process for internal candidates, because that can have a tendency to skew your candidate pool. If you have a highly qualified internal, that's less attractive to people that, boy, do I want to waste my time here? So they all have a process for weeding that out to see, are you better off this way or that way? So you'll get guidance on that.
So my question then is to make sure that we're clear. It seems like most of you would like to talk with these people in person before we make a decision on which group we're going to go with. Is that accurate? So we need to schedule times to do that then. I believe all 3 of them are available to meet with us on March 7th, next Monday. If we are available, and it could be a special session, it's a public meeting, it's open to the public, but it's an extra meeting, and then we could have our work session on the 14th and our regular session on the 28th, as Mark was suggesting earlier.
So would you suggest we meet with everybody that night, and we have it, obviously we would say, we'd ask them about internal versus external, and kind of come up with our plan after that of A, who, and B, what services we want? Is that kind of your thought, like that night, or we'd meet later that week, or talk about it on the 14th or something?
How would you like to do it?
I guess maybe we make the decision on the 14th. I guess if how we wanted to move forward, I guess, I don't know. I mean, at least we would know, we'd have talked to everybody, and
We could put on the agenda possible action on the 7th, see how it goes on the 7th, and if there's somebody that we clearly feel a connection with that we want to go with, we could make the decision on the 7th, and if the board decides that we need more time to think about it, we could make the decision on the 14th.
I agree with that. So I was gonna say, if we're ready to decide, then let's decide on the 7th, but I just don't know what else we're gonna get between the 7th and the 14th. So,
you're away.
but it's each of us, and maybe we process differently, so.
There are 2 other firms that if you're interested in them that are on the par of HYA. and I can get you those names, McPherson, Jacobson, and the other one just doesn't come to me right now, but if you just want to call and get a price and see where they're at, but they're HYA, McPherson, Jacobson, and some of these, they're almost all identical, the process they use and their costs. And that's why you see like school exec is, you know, quite a bit cheaper because they're local, they're out of St. Paul.
So like, we bring everybody in, so do we tell them 45 minutes for half-hour presentation and 15 minutes for questioning, something like that, or?
They each said that they could make it as short as we needed it to be. If we gave them each an hour, they would take it. So,
Sales pitch. Right?
we could give them each,
I don't want any of the fluff of 1,500 districts, and I've served this and I've done that. So I hope they're watching and listening just personally, because we give those same presentations. I don't really care. Tell me what you're gonna do to help me hire the
Nuts and bolts,
superintendent.
that's it.
So I don't need an hour, because I don't need to hear where they've been and what they've done. I wanna hear, this is why you wanna hire us, because we're gonna get this information for you, and that's gonna help your district.
And I actually partly want to know where they've been and what they've done, because I would like to know, well, what do these districts look like now? So I would like a little bit of that.
Little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
They can provide references as
Yeah,
well,
right.
you know.
and all
I guess
of
maybe if
that
they gave us this,
information
I can,
is
I mean,
in
cause
the.
yeah, I can get it,
Yeah,
with
right.
just the
Yeah.
1,500
Yeah.
districts that I've worked for. We've been in business for 60 years.
But I think 30 minutes with 15 minutes of questioning after is, I think that's more than enough time.
So what time would you like to start on Monday, March 7th?
I really can't do before 5:30,
Okay,
if that's possible.
5:30?
I already pulled up the Google calendar.
Because that would have been a regular meeting at 6, correct?
Right.
It was scheduled to be.
Yeah, okay.
So if they have, that would be 6:15, so we could start the next one at 6:15, and it would be done by 7, and then we go 7 to 7:45?
I think we give 15 minutes between each person. Like,
I agree.
You give everybody the hour,
Okay,
but I mean, half hour, 15 minutes.
so 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30?
I think so. That's mine. Otherwise, they'll.
Is that agreeable to everybody else?
5:30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I will send the message to the 3 companies, and I'm sure that they can work out the times, or will be able to work out the times. And we will meet on Monday, March 7th, a special session. Alicia, I'll work with you on the agenda for that, all right? Okay. And then our work session will be March 14th.
We need to make a motion to move both
And
of those.
our regular session will be March 28th. Would you like to make that motion?
Sure, I will make a motion for all of that.
All right,
I will second what Bruce said.
all right, thank you, Sherry, thank you, Bruce.
Alicia, did you catch that?
And is there any further discussion on that schedule? All right then, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the petition to alter school district boundaries. Mark, did you want to address this?
Just only unless there's questions from what we sent out and what you heard last week, and then, you know, again, our recommendation of the situation is to not allow the detachment of property to the Hudson School District. That's our recommendation.
Can you speak to the surrounding property where, so we want to make sure that we're not creating any islands.
Right.
And even though this property is on a borderline between 2 districts, the property on each side of it is also part of the Somerset School
Right,
District.
yep.
And if we agree to allow it to go to Hudson, it would be creating an island of Hudson among,
Yeah, we're creating a
Somerset.
finger into our property.
right,
You know, and if you remember, we did allow one, it was last year, year before, that made perfectly sense for us, because they were an island of us in the middle of Hudson District, and so, again, very small piece of property, but it made sense to do that. So it's not like we're really cold about these things, but we can't give up our future tax base, we just can't. This person bought the lot with the intent of building there, they knew where they were building, so again, they have open enrollment, they can work out something with Hudson to use the school buses and what have you, so they have options.
all right, so would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny the Wyland petition to alter school district boundaries.
Thank you, Bruce. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Michelle. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? A motion carries. I would just like to comment that we had a situation similar to this several years ago, and the solution was that the person who wanted to, in this case, it was someone who wanted to attach to the Somerset district, and they were on the borderline between Somerset and Richmond. They were able to find a property to trade. So a property that was in Somerset agreed to trade and go to New Richmond, and the New Richmond property then was able to join Somerset. So I just wanted to put that out there as another option.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. All right, policy update. This is the one that we had the first reading on February 14th. It's the open enrollment program. There was a memo attached. The wording in the entire policy was attached, so you can see what's being taken out and what's being added. Did anybody have any questions about it? Would someone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve the policy change of 05113 regarding open enrollment.
All right, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bruce. So we have a motion by Matt and a second by Bruce to approve the change to policy 5113, open enrollment. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on this section of the agenda is the district calendar. Trish presented this at the last meeting. There are no changes from what was presented at the work session. Would anybody care to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the 2022-2023 Somerset School District calendar as shown.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Sheree and a second by Matt. Any questions or comments on the calendar? All right, hearing none then, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Would anybody like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve 6A 1 and 2, B 1, C 1, 2, and 3 as presented.
All right,
I'll second.
Thank you, Marge. So we have a motion by Bruce and a second by Marge. The sponsorship of the post-prom party was addressed at the work session as well. Any questions or comments about any of these items? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Before we go on to general information, let's go back to the item that we postponed. The Technical Excellence Higher Education Scholar is Samantha Vanas. And Bruce, would you like to address this?
Sure, it's just we got an email from Kelly Emerson and Jen Sutton. Just some feedback, so they asked us to read it tonight since they weren't able to make it. On behalf of the Career and Technical Ed Department, Ms. Sutton and Ms. Emerson would like to share a few words with Samantha. We are so proud of you and your hard work during your time here at Somerset High School. We have had the honor of having you in several classes, and during your time, you have always strived to do your best and really shined academically. In addition to working hard at your academics, you've been an active member of the cheer team. You've always been a quiet leader in both of those places while excelling in academics and activities. You've also balanced work with other commitments. We are super proud of you and are super excited to see what your future holds as you begin your journey toward becoming a vet tech at Northwoods Technical College. Congratulations.
All right, and our congratulations to Samantha and her family.
Anything else, Shannon?
All right, the next item, general information, we've already addressed. March 14th will be the work session, and March 28th will be the regular session. Once around the table, Marge, you went to a conference. Would you like to begin?
Yeah, went to the conference in Wisconsin Dells last week, and lots of good information. I'd encourage anybody to sign up and go to the conferences because you learn a lot. I learned a lot about being on the school board, and some of the topics I went to were school employee and witness subpoena responsibilities, investigating employee misconduct, and those were the understanding the teacher non-renewal and the new development of Wisconsin public records law. Some of those were commented on in Abby's weekend update, part of her. And the last one was school board members' relations and ethics, and that was excellent. They had a lot of good ideas and things about what to do when you're on the board and not to do when you're on the board. And they let out by saying don't pander to special interest groups. You know, you're supposed to be representing both sides, and it was a great, the whole day had lots of information in it. So, and I do have some handouts if anybody's interested in them that we could get copied off.
That was just one day?
That was one day, yeah. And they put a lot in one day because there was even more than that. They had 2 tracks. So,
Just pick your course?
yes.
Pick which one?
Yep. They had something on bullying. They had non-discrimination. They have students with disabilities, student discipline, top 10 tips and tricks, which probably could be used at home too.
With your spouse or with your kids, right?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So a little bit of everything in that. It was great.
So Marge, would you be willing to leave that handout with
Yeah.
Alicia so she could scan it in and perhaps email it out to the rest of us?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great, thank you. And Mark, you were at that conference
Yeah,
with Abby also?
Yep, so there's 2 tracks as Marge was talking about there. The first track, there was more kind of practitioner that Abby was, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was, can I see this?
Yep.
For a second? Yeah. Again, it was really right up, what Abby deals with all the time, and she's the one that brought this, Mark, we should go to this. But the right-hand side would, Marge and I went to almost all the same sessions here and that. You know, the one that I was really in tune to was the new developments in the public records law, you know, as far as, you know, data requests and things like that. You know, been here long enough, you know, you always pick up something. You know, a lot of these, I felt like I probably teach them, but you do pick up the things that, you know, there's some nuances with them and things like that. So it's a good conference, and as Marge said, I'd highly encourage you to take advantage of these. Just birdwalk here a little bit. When I took the job over in Minnesota for Elk River, we really had a lot of board issues and problems. One of the reasons that we were able to turn that district around was because the board started going to these conventions together, and even the national conventions, to see what's out there and what we want education to be. And I would highly encourage you to go to the state conventions if you can together, because it's a good time for you to, you know, bond as a board, but also learn what's going on in the state, and then maybe go on some rotational basis to the national conventions, because then you see what's going on around the country. But again, that's for the future.
So Mark, the open records one that you said you were interested in, the new developments, was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
Well, just besides that and the conversations we've been having in the Middle Border Conference, that it's kind of really a mix mash of having attorneys help with these records requests and doing them yourself. I mean, there's no set pattern. And, you know, when we were getting just bombarded with them this year, you know, we turned them over to our attorney's office, because some of them were just so complex that it would take, you know, several of us to sit there and try and redact and do these. Now, you know, in fact, I was sitting in that session and I got a records request, you know, which I thought, are you kidding me? But it was one I could sit there and answer myself. You know, I mean, so we're gonna try and do these as they come, but there's gonna be a point in time when we just need that. I've always been fearful of giving out the wrong information, getting, you know, having someone come after us, then giving out not enough. So again, you know, we had talked about that before, about how can we cut down some of the lawyer bills and what have you with these redactions and that. And we'll try it. We'll see how far we can go with it. But, you know, there's no one path on these things, because they're all very different.
But it is a huge expense.
Oh, it is.
To the district, and if you've gone through the board bills and seen the totals of our attorney bills.
Yeah, and we can't charge for the redaction. You know, we can charge, I don't know, 50 cents a page on these pieces and that, and we can only charge for the lowest level of employees' time that takes to do the redaction. So if I sit and do them, you can't charge my salary against it. So hopefully we're done with those for a while.
Matt,
I have nothing.
all right. I mentioned, I think earlier in February, that CISA has a couple of professional development for boards coming up in April. So we should, Alicia, would you make a note that we put that on the agenda for the work session to make sure that we discuss what those are and when they are? So we can talk about, because I think CISA wants a reservation to know how many people to plan for. And then the summer school report, I'm looking forward, I hope that we can hear that in March. Summer school's gonna be coming up again right around the corner, believe it or not.
I think we're in good shape.
Bruce?
Just, Mark, thanks for everything. You've been here since I've been on the board, so thank you for everything you've done for the district, and me as a board member personally. And then just Mr. Larson's family, Mikkel, Reggie, Rocky, Mrs. Larson, just prayers and thoughts out to you guys, and Kayla and everybody else in their family. just the one quick, I just said it tonight is, you know, it was 20 years ago, this time of year, exactly 20 years ago, that he was meeting with us to change, you know, we talk about culture, and we were texting today with friends is that Mr. Larson talked about changing culture before it was a thing to talk about changing culture, and actually he was changing it with 15 and 16, 17-year-old kids. And I guess, telling Lori, just getting us to read books about being leaders and being better people and doing things right, not just blocking and tackling and lifting. It was to win and to be successful, you had to, just like you said, do things right. And that's all it was. We have to do every little step right. And if you do every little step right on the football field, in the classroom, you're gonna be successful. And I think that every student that's had them has had a positive experience. So I'm just still think about it today, even when no one's looking, you're still doing it right. And a lot of that stems back to him. So thank him for a lot of the places that I am. That's it.
Michelle?
I'll just kind of add to Bruce. My daughter tweeted something on social media, just because everybody is experiencing loss and grief differently, right? We all do, and how we handle it. There's no wrong or right way, and I appreciate administration kind of reaching out and letting the kids know, letting the staff know there's no right or wrong way in how to grieve. But one of the things that stood out for me in her tweet was the fact that he taught a leadership class. There was nobody better to do it than him. And what he focused on was choice and that one word, and how, you know, I wasn't in the class, but I felt like she taught me just from reading her tweet that, you know, it's such a powerful word, and it's up to us and how we use it. So I live with 3 people that are, you know, probably a lot closer to Bruce than I have been. I've been the mom in the stands watching him coach my kids, or hearing the stories of my daughter in the weight room. So I absolutely appreciate the family and the support that they gave him to coach, because that takes a lot out from Kelly. Kelly was a teacher for my daughter, so very close relationship there too. Sorry, my voice is really bad from last week. But anyway, condolences to the family, the district. And then also, I just kind of wanted to kind of on a lighter note, just give congratulations to our girls hockey program, our boys hockey program, and our girls basketball program for ending the season. They ended the season. They all worked hard. That's why my voice is not good.
You were cheering.
I know, I was cheering. You know, and I look at our administration, they have to split up their time. You know, we had one administrator in Eau Claire, we had one in Prescott. They both were here in town. I mean, that's a lot of time from their families, and we really appreciate that. And then also, I appreciate the positive emails that we're getting from our community. Those are really nice to hear, because it affirms that we are doing some really good things. So I think that I should probably be done. But yeah, so thank you, everybody.
Mark, thank you for your service. I've only got 1 year, but you know, it hasn't been terrible working with you. How's that?
Well, gee, thanks, I think.
I think, yes. Mr. Larson is a person that is going to go down in Somerset history as impacting many, many lives in profound ways. And I think the truest testament to that is we are going to need a gymnasium for his memorial service. And boy, if we could all live our lives that our goodbye has to be done in a gymnasium to accommodate all the people that want to honor his life and his legacy. We are so grateful. He has impacted our family, and he will be missed.
Very well spoken, all of you, I will echo that. Thoughts and prayers to the Larson family, and Dr. Bisek, thank you for your time.
That one sounded better.
And don't think that this means you're done, Dr. Beasley.
I know.
We have your cell phone.
That's why I took that off. I'm not thanking you yet.
I
We got
got
time.
4 months, come on, I'll be here.
All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Lacey. Is there a
I'll second.
Thank you, Marge. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 6:55.